好，我们可以看到这个外电的最新画面呢，你可以看到拜登他已经在主席台这边要准备来发表他的国情咨文了。他的后方坐的也是两位美国政坛非常重要的核心人物，就是美国现任的副总统贺锦丽，还有美国新任的众议院议长麦卡锡。那你可以看到呢，其实在台下聚集了非常多拜登重要的内阁。刚刚我们有看到的，像是呢美国国务卿布林肯，还有这个国防部长奥斯汀，还有财长耶伦都在现场。那么，拜登待会就会开始发表他的国情咨文，我们先来听一下他怎么说。
Mr. Speaker, thank you. You can smile. It's okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Please. Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, good to see you guys up there. Members of Congress.
好，可以看到一开始呢，拜登是先跟在场的所有的议员们打招呼，也介绍了今天到场的这些重要的阁揆，包括了他的这个众院议长麦卡锡，还有国防奥斯汀，还有布林肯。
Got to work something out here. Members of the Cabinet, leaders of our military, Chief Justice, Associate Justice, and retired Justice of the Supreme Court, and to you, my fellow Americans. You know, I start tonight by congratulating the 118th Congress and the new Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy.
特别介绍的就是第118届的国会，还有新任的众院议长麦卡锡，他也跟麦卡锡来握手致意。
Speaker, I don't want to ruin your reputation, but I look forward to working with you.
他也说呢，希望可以再跟议长来持续在政治上头合作。他先前也呼吁说，共和党应该要停止内斗了，应该两党一起合作，为了美国的未来。
He won in spite of the fact I campaigned for him. Congratulations to the longest-serving leader in the history of the United States Senate, Mitch McConnell. Where are you, Mitch? And congratulations to Chuck Schumer, another term as Senate Minority Leader. I think this time you have a slightly bigger majority, Mr. Leader, and you're the majority leader. About that much bigger? Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I want to give special recognition to someone who I think is going to be considered the greatest speaker in the history of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi.
好，拜登刚刚介绍这两位参议员呢，都是在参议院服务非常久、非常资深的议员，同时也都是领袖，包括了麦康诺还有舒默。另外呢，这一位你看到的就是穿桃红色上衣的，这个是美国的前众院议长裴洛西，今天也到场来听拜登第2度的国情咨文的演说。
Of never ever giving up. It's a story unique among all nations. We're the only country that has emerged from every crisis we've ever entered stronger than we got into it. Look, folks, that's what we're doing again. 2 years ago, the economy was reeling. I stand here tonight after we've created, with the help of many people in this room, 12 million new jobs. More jobs created in 2 years than any president's created in 4 years because of you all, because of the American people.
拜登也细数了这2年来，他为了美国增加了非常多的就业机会，包括了1200万个新的就业机会。他还说呢，其实过去2年因为疫情关系，导致美国整体经济是相当的动荡的。
Robbed of so much, and today COVID no longer controls our lives. And 2 years ago, democracy faced its greatest threats in civil war, and today Though bruised, our democracy remains unbowed and unbroken.
他说呢，其实过去2年，新冠的确影响了美国人的生活，包括了像是学校，还有很多商店都关门了。不过，他认为现在新冠已经过去了，不再影响了美国人的生活。可是，他也提到了，在过去的这一场，有堪比于美国内战之后一个非常大的政坛动荡，也就是在去年国会的时候。有发生了一个比较动荡的事件，就是呢，川普他的支持者在国会里头示威。
You know, we're often told that Democrats and Republicans can't work together. But over the past 2 years, we've proved the cynics and naysayers wrong. Yes, we disagreed plenty. And yes, there were times when Democrats went alone. But time and again, Democrats and Republicans came together to defend a stronger and safer Europe. You came together to pass once in a generation infrastructure law, building bridges connecting our nation and our people. We came together to pass the most significant law ever, helping victims exposed to toxic burn pits. And in fact,
拜登也呼吁呢，两党应该要停止恶斗了，要捍卫的是美国，另外也要捍卫的是欧洲。他指的应该就是这个俄乌战争，目前还在开打。另外呢，他也认为说应该要保障美国在内，美国境内的这个制造业的法律。
bipartisan pieces of legislation since becoming president, from reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act, the Electoral Count Reform Act, the Respect for Marriage Act that protects the right to marry the person you love, and to my Republican friends. If we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well.
他也提到呢，过去其实跟这个共和党是可以合作，没道理现在不能合作，所以他呼吁两党停止恶斗，当然也是为了美国的未来所着想。
You all are as formed as I am, but I think the people sent us a clear message. Fighting for the sake of fighting. Power for the sake of power, conflict for the sake of conflict gets us nowhere. That's always been my vision of our country, and I know it's many of yours. To restore the soul of this nation, to rebuild the backbone of America, America's middle class, and to unite the country. We've been sent here to finish the job, in my view. For decades, the middle class has been hollowed out in more than, and not one administration, but for a long time. Too many good-paying manufacturing jobs move overseas. Factories closed down. Once thriving cities and towns that many of you represent became shadows of what they used to be. Along the way, something else we lost. Pride, our sense of self-worth. I ran for president to fundamentally change things, to make sure our economy works for everyone, so we can all feel that pride in what we do. To build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. Because when the middle class does well, the poor have a ladder up, and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well.
他提到呢，其实几十年来，中产阶级可以说是被掏空了，包括很多高级的制造业已经转移到了海外去，那么国内的工厂也接连倒闭。他认为现在是经济是要确保为每个人服务，要为大家所做的事情感到骄傲，感到自豪。
It's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it. Well, folks, so let's look at the results. We're not finished yet by any stretch of the imagination, but unemployment rate is at 3.4%, a 50-year low.
他非常自豪的是，在他上任之后呢，这失业率是3.4%，创下50年来新低。包括了在这个非裔还有西班牙裔的工人失业率接近历史的最低水平。
We've already created, with your help, 800,000 good-paying manufacturing jobs, the fastest growth in 40 years. And where is it written? Where is it written that America can't lead the world in manufacturing? And I don't know where that's written. For too many decades, we imported projects and exported jobs. Now, thanks to what you've all done, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Folks, inflation has been a global problem because the pandemic disrupted our supply chains, and Putin's unfair and brutal war in Ukraine disrupted energy supplies as well as food supplies, blocking all that grain in Ukraine. But we're better positioned than any country on earth right now. But we have more to do. But here at home, inflation is coming down. Here at home, gas prices are down $1.50 from their peak. Food inflation is coming down, not fast enough, but coming down. Inflation has fallen every month for the last 6 months, while take-home pay has gone up. Additionally, over the last 2 years, a record 10 million Americans applied to start new businesses. 10 million.
好，他也再度提到的是，现在通膨非常严重，但是他认为这是全球性的问题，因为新冠疫情的关系扰乱供应链。他也再次提到了普丁发起战争是扰乱能源还有食品的供应链。但是他非常自豪的是，他认为现在美国国内的通膨已经是逐渐在下降，而且在过去的2年内创纪录1000万的美国人申办，他们要开启的是新的小型企业。
I shared with you a story of American genius and possibilities. Semiconductors, small computer chips the size of a fingerprint that power everything, from cell phones to automobiles and so much more. These chips were invented in America. Let's get that straight. They were invented in America.
他再次提到了晶片的重要性，而他也说呢，这个晶片是为了提供手机到汽车各种设备提供重要的动力。他也说，这个晶片是在美国发明的。
Today's automobiles need 3,000 chips, each of those automobiles. But American automobiles couldn't make enough cars because there weren't enough chips. Car prices went up, people got laid off. So did everything from refrigerators to cell phones. We can never let that happen again. That's why we came together to pass the Bipartisan Chips and Science Act.
他也说了，其实过去的几10年，美国失去优势了，因为产量不断下降，只有10%。但是呢，包括了像是这个新冠的关系，海内外很多晶片工厂发生了一些延工，导致这个没有办法如期缴交货源这样子的问题。所以呢，他认为要把晶片带回到美国制造。他也说，这就是2党通过晶片法案还有其他科学法案的一个重要主因，要确保就是美国供应链就是使用。
We've already created 800,000 new manufacturing jobs without this law, before the law kicks in. With this new law, we're going to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country. And I mean all across the country, throughout not just the coast, but through the middle of the country as well. That's going to come from companies that have announced more than $300 billion in investment in American manufacturing over the next few years. Outside of Columbus, Ohio, Intel is building semiconductor factories on 1,000 acres, literally a field of dreams. It's going to create 10,000 jobs, that one investment, 7,000 construction jobs, 3,000 jobs in those factories once they're finished. They call them factories. Jobs paying an average of $130,000 a year, and many do not require a college degree.
他也说了，其实，在 Ohio 这边呢，英特尔开始在建厂了，所以他认为这边会带来非常多的工作机会，包括了有1万个工作机会，还有7000个建筑的工作岗位。那么工厂建成之后会提供3000个工作机会，年薪是大概在13000多美元，很多是不需要大学学位的，所以他认为说呢，其实大家可以留在自己的家乡就可以找到工作了，没有人才外流问题。
Talk to mayors and governors, Democrats and Republicans, and they'll tell you what this means for their communities. We're seeing these field of dreams transform to the heartland. But to maintain the strongest economy in the world, we need the best infrastructure in the world. And folks, as you all know, we used to be #1 in the world in infrastructure. We've sunk to 13th in the world. The United States of America, 13th in the world in infrastructure, modern infrastructure. But now we're coming back because we came together and passed the bipartisan infrastructure law, the largest investment in infrastructure since President Eisenhower's interstate highway system.
这部分他也提到了世界上最重要的就是基础建设的部分。他说，美国过去是基建的第1名，但现在已经跌落到13名。不过他说，美国回来了，要聚在一起通过的是2党的基础建设法案。
Our railroads, our tunnels, ports, airports, clean water, high-speed internet, all across America. Urban, rural, tribal. And folks, we're just getting started. We're just getting started.
而这个建设法案呢，会资助的是包括了美国的高速公路、还有桥梁跟铁路、隧道、港口跟机场等等的这些基建，包括在城市郊区的都有覆盖到。
But I still get asked to fund the projects in those districts as well. But don't worry. I promised I'd be a president for all Americans. We'll fund these projects. And I'll see you at the groundbreaking. Look, this law will further unite all of America. Projects like Brent Spence Bridge in Kentucky over the Ohio River, built 60 years ago, badly needed repairs, one of the nation's most congested freight routes, carrying $2 billion worth of freight every single day across the Ohio River. And folks, I've been talking about fixing it for decades, but we're really finally going to get it done. I went there last month with Democrats and Republicans, and from both states, to deliver a commitment of $1.6 billion for this project. And while I was there, I met a young woman named Sarah, who's here tonight. I don't know where Sarah is. Is she up in the box? I don't know. Sarah, how are you? Well, Sarah, for 30 years.
在 Ohio 这边跟肯塔基州有一个大桥，其实目前在美国部分是很需要急于维修的。那因为这一条桥，它是一个很重要的运输的路线，每天会运送价值大约20亿元的货物。可是现在因为它有一点状况，所以没有办法如期的这样子运送，所以呢，它需要非常多的当地的工人来帮忙进行后续的修缮。现在你看到这一位这个非裔的女士呢，其实拜登特地邀请她来的，她是一位铁匠。那么她也是今天来参加拜登国情咨文。拜登说要感谢的是这一位名叫萨拉的铁匠呢，就是画面上你看到这一位，他就是在帮忙修缮整个大桥一个非常重要的成员之一。
10 million homes in America, 400,000 school and child care centers. So every child in America can drink the water instead of having permanent damage to their brain. Look, we're making sure that every community in America has access to affordable high-speed internet. No parent should have to drive by McDonald's parking lot to help them do their homework online with their kids, which many thousands were doing across the country. And when we do these projects, and again I get criticized for this, but I make no excuses for it, we're going to buy American. We're going to buy American. Folks.
他说呢，要确定每个社区都有很畅通的网络，所以父母亲就不需要开车带小朋友到麦当劳去写作业，因为他认为在家里就可以完成作业了。要让大家都有好用、高速的网络是他施政重要的目标。他也认为说，要做这些项目的时候呢，都需要购买的是美国货，因为让美国制造留在美国。
Tonight, I'm announcing new standards that require all construction materials used in federal infrastructure projects to be made in America.
他也细数了刚刚他提到所谓的这个美国道路、还有桥梁跟铁路、还有高速公路跟网络上头的一些零件，还有这些工程所使用的一些建材，都是在美国制造，也就是美国的产品，这是让他相当骄傲的。
And on my watch, American roads, bridges, and American highways are going to be made with American products as well. Folks, my economic plan is about investing in places and people that have been forgotten. So many of you listening to me tonight, I know you feel it. So many of you felt like you've just simply been forgotten. Amid the economic upheaval of the past 4 decades, too many people have been left behind and treated like they're invisible. Maybe that's you watching from home. Remember the jobs that went away. You remember them, don't you? The folks at home remember them. You wonder whether the path even exists anymore for your children to get ahead without having to move away. Well, that's why I get that. That's why we're building an economy where no one's left behind. Jobs are coming back. Pride is coming back because choices we made in the last several years. You know, this is, in my view, a blue-collar blueprint to rebuild America and make a real difference in your lives at home. For example, too many of you lay in bed at night like my dad did, staring at the ceiling, wondering what in God's name happens if your spouse gets cancer, or your child gets deadly ill, or something happens to you. What are you going to get money to pay for those medical bills? Or you're going to have to sell the house or try to get a second mortgage on it. I get it. I get it. With the Inflation Reduction Act that I signed into law, we're taking on powerful interests to bring healthcare costs down so you can sleep better at night with more security. You know, we pay more for prescription drugs than any nation in the world. Let me say it again. We pay more for prescription drugs than any major nation on earth. For example, 1 in 10 Americans has diabetes. Many of you in this chamber do, and in the audience. But every day, millions need insulin to control their diabetes so they can literally stay alive. Insulin's been around for over 100 years. The guy who invented it didn't even patent it because he wanted it to be available for everyone. It cost the drug companies roughly $10 a vial to make that insulin. Package it and all, you may get up to $13. But Big Pharma has been unfairly charging people hundreds of dollars, $400 to $500 a month, making record profits. Not anymore.
他也提到呢，其实签署了法律的这个降低通膨法案，他们正在跟强大的利益集团来合作，要降低的就是现在很多人都认为说美国的医疗费用实在是太高昂了。他也提到说呢，很多家庭其实都面对到，如果配偶得了癌症或者是孩子生病的话，该怎么办呢？有钱可以治疗这么庞大的医疗费用吗？他也提到呢，其实在美国人的部分有1/10的美国人他们是罹患糖尿病的状况，那需要这个胰岛素，可是胰岛素其实非常的贵，所以呢，他也签署了这个法案，可以让很多家庭他们受惠于不需要再支付这么高昂的这个医疗的费用。
People are just finding out. I'm sure you're getting the same calls I'm getting. Look, there are millions of other Americans who do not or are not on Medicare, including 200,000 young people with type 1 diabetes who need this insulin to stay alive. Let's finish the job this time. Let's cap the cost of insulin for everybody at $35.
他说呢，其实在美国的人的部分呢，有20万名的患者就有1型糖尿病的年轻人，他们很需要的是胰岛素来挽救生命，所以他希望把这个胰岛素的价格可以控制在每个月大约是35元的美金，让多数的人都可以负担得起。
This law also caps and won't go into effect until 2025. Costs, out-of-pocket drug costs for seniors on Medicare at a maximum of $2,000 a year. You don't have to pay more than $2,000 a year, no matter how much your drug costs are. Because you know why? You all know it. Many of you, like many in my family, have cancer. You know the drugs can range from $10,000, $11,000, $14,000, $15,000 for the cancer drugs. And if drug prices rise faster than inflation, drug companies are going to have to pay Medicare back the difference. And we're finally giving Medicare the power to negotiate drug prices. Bringing down prescription drug costs doesn't just save seniors money, it cuts the federal deficit by billions of dollars, by hundreds of billions of dollars. Because these prescription drugs are drugs purchased by Medicare to keep their commitment to the seniors. Well, guess what? Instead of paying $400 or $500 a month, you're paying $15. That's a lot of savings for the federal government. And by the way, why would we want that? Now some members here are threatening, and I know it's not an official party position, so I'm not going to exaggerate, but threatening to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. As my coach, that's okay, that's fair. As my football coach used to say, lots of luck in your senior year. Make no mistake, if you try anything to raise the cost of producing jobs, I will veto it.
所以说呢，如果是想要做任何提高处方药成本的事情，他都是会否决的。因为呢，他曾经说有遇到一些成员，他们威胁要废除通膨里头的一些相关的法案。但是有1600万的人，他们参加的是平价医疗法案的联署。
Saving millions are saving $800 a year on their premiums. And by the way, that law was written, and the benefit expires in 2025.
而去年他签署的这个法律呢，可以让数百万人每一年可以减少大约有$800的保费。可是呢，原本这个法律其实相关的福利会在2025年到期，但也因为他签署了这个法案，可以让很多的民众之后受惠于比较低廉的保费。
The Inflation Reduction Act is also the most significant investment ever in climate change. Ever. Lowering utility bills, creating American jobs, leading the world to a clean energy future. I visited the devastating aftermath of record floods, droughts, storms, and wildfires from Arizona to Mexico to all the way up to the Canadian border. More timber has been burned, as I've observed from helicopters, than the entire state of Missouri. And we don't have global warming? Not a problem.
我们刚刚可以看到呢，这个拜登他在他任内第2度的这个国情咨文里头，他一开始是细数了他的政绩，并且也呼吁共和党要终止两党的恶斗，希望可以团结合作。过去可以一起合作的，现在当然可以一起合作。那么他也提到了包括的基建的部分，各州的基建。另外呢，还有在晶片的部分，他也成功把晶片带回到美国制造，要打造的是一个更加稳定的供应链。另外，他也提到了他签署了这个降低通膨法案，让更多的美国人可以受惠于比较平价的医疗的服务。那么呢，关于他的内政的部分，他目前提到的是这几项，而稍晚可能也会进一步的对于外交政策上他有所分析，我们也会持续带您一起来关注。好，其实我们刚刚看到这一系列拜登他在任内的第2度国情咨文的演说上头，他一开始的破题就是经济牌。其实呢，他打出的就是说呢，他在过去的他主政的这2年以来，已经创造了1200万个新的就业机会。他特别提到的这个就业机会还有经济牌呢，当然就是想要跟前朝川普时期来做一个非常重大对比。他认为说这个经济的稳定，当然就是稳定国内的民心的一个非常重要的一个任务。他认为他对于这个部分他是有做到的。另外，他也提到的就是新冠疫情的部分。他说呢，其实现在新冠已经没有再控制了大家的生活了。他认为说这2年大家真的是过得非常的苦。可是呢，未来新冠不再控制了大家的生活。他也认为说大家目前应该要先团结起来。包括他也特别强调的是要跟共和党2党一起来合作。他也特地跟这个新任的共和党的众院议长麦卡锡来致意。他说呢，应该要终结的是2党的恶斗。当然，未来也要推动2党的合作，过去可以，那他认为未来当然也可以。另外呢，他也特别提到，就是很多美国人他们非常的失落，包括了现在的可能战后婴儿潮这一代的美国人，他们可能感受上是特别的强烈的，因为他认为说，其实几10年来，随着美国非常多的企业都是外移的状况，很多人在自己的家乡是找不到工作的。可是呢，他上任之后，透过了像是基建的建设之外呢，他在很多的这一些比较内陆的一些城市、一些州呢，就建立了非常多的就业机会，包括了像是晶片法案的执行。他刚刚呢也特别提到了，像是俄亥俄州这边呢，开始有英特尔的厂在这边开始建立了，有在为当地俄亥俄州这边建造了很多的工作机会，包括像是高级的一些 IT 的一些工程人员、专业人士。另外呢，还有很多蓝领的一些像是建筑工程的这些工人，他们也有所机会可以去工作，让他们不需要向外漂流，不需要到异乡工作，可以留在自己家乡的工作。他也认为说，这个晶片是他施政一个非常重要 要的政绩哦。因为呢，晶片这个部分呢，它在美国跟很多的这个企业谈合作，希望都在美国本土设厂。当然，它有强调说，也是要打造整个晶片供应链的稳定，包括了像是汽车跟手机的部分，都希望这个晶片的供应链稳定，大家也不会因为呢这个供应链不稳定，没有车可开，没有手机可用，面临这样的一些种种的状况。所以呢，包括了晶片的部分，他也有特别提到。另外，他提到了一个很重要观察重点，他这一次的这个国情咨文的演说上面呢，他的特地请来的一位是比较蓝领的代表，也就是我们刚刚有提到的这个他是铁路的凶善工人，他名字叫做萨拉，也是受到拜登的邀请来到国情咨文的这个演说的国会的这个场合来听他的演说。他也特地跟这一位蓝领的阶级的人士呢，特地为他来致意。其实拜登这样的举动呢，他也是特别要强调的是，美国这几年其实在基建的部分，他的确是把施政的重点放在这里。他也认为说呢，就是这一些数百万位这些基层的美国人，可以打造一个更强大、更美好的美国。所以呢，他这一次也是特地的请这一位这个蓝领的工人来到这个国会的现场，并且邀请他来聆听他的这个整体的后续的这些国情咨文的演说。另外，他还有提到了像是这个降通膨法案的签署过后呢，当然引发的是非常多的后续的效应，包括很多美国人他们其实呢，一般的家庭来说，假如家里有人真的是生一些比较重大的疾病，包括像是慢性病、高血压、糖尿病等等，或者是家里有人是需要打胰岛素来维生的话，或者是得了癌症的话，他们这些需要付出的医疗的费用都是非常庞大、非常惊人的。但是拜登呢，他非常自豪的是呢，他签署了这个降低通膨法案之后，让很多慢性病的患者、慢性病的家庭或者是癌症的家庭都受惠了，因为他们可以享有的是比较相当于这个跟过去来比是比较低廉一点的这个保费，还有医疗的费用，包括他提到胰岛素的部分，希望可以限制的是胰岛素的费用呢，每个月是到$35，也跟过去的价格来比是比较实惠的价格，也可以让多数的人是可以负担得起的。好，不过呢，其实拜登呢，他一开始的主场他就是打他的经济牌，他认为说他过去的这2年的施政的部分是让美国更稳定，让更多的美国人是可以享有比较多的工作机会，可以留在自己家乡工作，不需要到外头来工作，可能跟家人分开的状况。那么未来呢，他可能在讲到他未来几年的施政的计划的话，可能是待会的国情咨文演说继续要持续观察重点。另外呢，其实大家比较关注的就是像是美中关系、美俄关系的部分的话呢，其实在刚刚他的这个谈话里面，他也特别提到了，就是因为呢，目前这个俄罗斯的战争还在开打，那也是因为普丁所发起的这个战争，那让整个供应链不稳定的状况，这也是他刚刚有特别提到。不过对于对外的这些外交政策，其实拜登他一开始是还没有提到，但是外交的走向未来会是如何呢？其实稍晚他也会再持续的来进行比较详细的说明，我们也会再持续的来为你掌握。
海皇鲍鱼干贝 XO 酱里面有严选新鲜的顶级海鲜跟秘制的独家配方，还有富含胶原蛋白，还有粘多糖、低脂肪的高蛋白，肉质鲜嫩 ，EPA 跟 DHA 的含量更是丰富。现在购买还有优惠哦，输入我的优惠代码 CTI74享有折扣哦。